Hi, my name is Brian D'Alessandro, and I teach MYP biology for grade 9s and 10s and DP biology for grades 11 and 12. When they get to high school, they do chemistry for one trimester, biology for one trimester, and physics for one trimester. We use the IB framework to establish kind of the skills, and then we use the New Brunswick standards to set kind of this is the biology, chemistry, physics content that we want to focus on for each of those 3 trimesters. And we plan around like what skills each student should develop in my biology course and your chemistry and your physics to make sure that they're getting the full breadth of what they should in the MYP program to prepare them for DP. And then once they get into the DP program, there are 4 choices for them. They can do DP biology, chemistry, physics, or environmental systems and societies. Once they get to that level, the content breadth and depth is kind of extensive. And the skills that they will have developed in MYP should help them when it comes time to do kind of practicals, prepare for their internal assessments, things like that that are required by the DP program. So we use the MYP as a springboard into those significantly more difficult courses in the DP. So for 9-10, we have like kind of more freedom to play around with inquiry-based learning concepts, like how we want to approach teaching the course. We can take a topic. A good way that I like to think about it is with this cyclic approach where you introduce students to some kind of science phenomenon, like something in the world that is interesting that could potentially catch their attention. Then you allow them to kind of explore that in some way. That can be working collaboratively with classmates, planning and implementing a lab procedure, some kind of experiment, gathering and analyzing the data around that. And then at the end of that cycle, we try to come back together and like explain what you learned, right? Show me how this kind of makes sense in the broader spectrum of each of the science domains. That would be kind of for MYP. DP, it's a lot more kind of prescribed content, which is good actually, because that's the IB telling us these are the things that your students should know and be able to do by the time it's time for us to assess them externally. And in grade 10, it's more focused on genetics as a topic, genetics and evolution. So we start learning about how do organisms reproduce, why does that happen in terms of like DNA and things, those types of topics. And then we tie that to how evolution works, because those 3 topics go really well together, they integrate well. And then this year I'm trying to hopefully work towards talking about biotechnology topics. Things like CRISPR, how does it work? What are the ethical, moral discussions we can have around that? And I want to have them go and find a subject related to that. DP says, specifically, this is the information that your students need to know, and these are the skills that we're going to look at their ability to do. That would just be for the paper, the exam paper. So DP biology has paper 1, 2, and 3. And for those, they will have your standard science multiple choice questions, but they'll also have questions like, here's this lab setup that you've never seen before. Here's this brand new situation. Here's a scientist ran this experiment. Now you know what you know about running experiments and using lab equipment and analyzing data to like arrive at some conclusion about that. So that's where they would apply the skills that they developed through MYP and through DP. And then for the internal assessment, there's like no boundaries on it, which is kind of nice. It's like totally open inquiry. So the students should have this kind of skill set that they developed and some foundation in all the science that they would need to just go out and find something that interests them, some phenomenon that they are interested in investigating. People say that biology is like learning another language, but if you think of it that way, it is a skill. Speaking a language is both content and skills-based, right? You have to know where and how to apply it. And with biology, the words are fancy sounding, sciencey, difficult words. If you have a good foundation in what the words mean, then anytime you're presented with like a brand new word in the context of biology, you should be able to like break it down and you can see a brand new word for the first time and say, oh, I know what that means. So yes, you do have to kind of sit down and learn some things. Just rote memorization, it happens. It's part of the science, but it's not a big part of it. Being able to like work with a model, that one applies itself best to biology, I think. If you think of biology, a lot of people will think of like in their high school classroom, the human torso, or things like that, or like the DNA model, or things like that. That's for a reason. It's because everything in biology happens on this micro scale, but you need to be able to like think about it in a way that it's like a little moving picture in your mind. So if you can work well with models, take a picture of some diagram of something happening and manipulate it in your mind to make a little cartoon version of what's actually happening there. That's a good skill to apply to biology.